Ebase had once believed that marrying Ayu would bring her happiness, but the reality was far different. Ayu's abuse became a daily reality. Every cruel word, every harsh actions weighed her down, but she stayed. Fear of the unknown and the tiny hope that Ayu might change kept her from leaving. Each day was a fight. Ayu's constant demands and his anger drained her physically and emotionally. Her health began to suffer, and her happiness faded away. Friends and family begged her to leave him, but the shame of returning to Mbeki as a failure was too much. She couldn't face it. In a desperate attempt to find some joy, Ebasi started investing the little money she had left in cryptocurrency. A friend had introduced her to the idea, and although it was a risky gamble, it gave her a sliver of hope. She began to focus on herself, ignoring Ayu more and more. She stopped giving him as much money, choosing instead to put it in her own investment. Ayu noticed the change, and while he continued to mistreat her, Ebasi stayed focused on her dream for a better tomorrow. Years passed, and Ebasi's investment started to grow. Her wealth increased, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of pride in herself. Meanwhile, Ayu's life was falling apart. Mbeki, his lover, saw that Ayu was no longer taking care of her and her children. She left him without a second thought. Ayu, once a man who seemed untouchable, was now struggling to keep control of his life. The cracks in his once strong image was growing larger, and nothing seemed to go right for him. Then, the final blow came. He discovered that one of the children he thought was his, Ebasi, wasn't his biological son, and his heart sank. The one thing he believed was his legacy was a lie. His whole world crumbled. The weight of this realization was too much for Ayu to bear. Shortly after the truth came out, he suffered a heart attack. His health, already shaky from years of stress and anger, was rapidly failing. But Ayu's suffering didn't end there. His son, Okim, the only child he had with Mbeki, had become deeply addicted to drugs. Okim's addiction had taken over his life, and when he couldn't get enough money for more drugs, he became violent. One terrible night, Okim attacked Ayu after he refused to give him money. The attack was brutal, leaving Ayu on the floor, barely alive. Ayu was rushed to the hospital. The doctors did everything they could to stabilize him, but his condition was severe. His heart was weak, and they told him he would need a transplant to survive. Without it, Ayu wouldn't live much longer. It wasn't long before the doctor called Ebasi. Now wealthy from a successful investment, she had the means to pay for Ayu's heart transplant. But the decision tore her apart. This was a man who had caused her so much pain, who had treated her with nothing but cruelty. Did he deserve her help? Did she owe him anything at all? Ebasi's mind was in turmoil. Should she save Ayu's life, even after all the suffering he had caused her? Or should she let him face the consequences of his actions? The weight of the decision crushed her. She stood at a crossroad, torn between the desire to show compassion and the need for justice. Helping him would mean rising above the pain and proving that she was stronger than the hurt. Letting him suffer would mean justice for the years of torment. What was the right thing to do? She didn't know, and it filled her with agony. Life lessons. Hope and fear can trap you. Ebasi's fear of the unknown and her hope that Ayu would change kept her stuck in an abusive relationship. Sometimes, fear holds us back from making the right decisions for our own well-being. 2. Invest in yourself. Even in the midst of hardship, Ebasi took a risk and invested in something that eventually brought her financial success. Believing in yourself and your future can lead to rewards you never imagined. 3. The truth can hurt but also heal. Ayu's discovery that one of his children wasn't biologically his was devastating. However, the truth can sometimes be necessary to start healing and change. 4. Consequences always comes. Ayu's actions and neglect for those he loved eventually caught up with him. No matter how far someone tries to run from their wrongdoings, the consequences will always catch up. 5. Compassion and justice are complex. Ebasi's dilemma reflects the difficult balance between showing compassion and demanding justice. Sometimes, the right choice isn't clear, and we must wrestle with our own hearts to find peace. What will Ebasi decide? The story does not end here. Watch out for part 3.